Welcome to a look at one of the most important trade-offs in training, boosting your performance today versus protecting your recovery tonight. Caffeine is a staple in pre-workout supplements because it increases alertness, improves endurance, and helps you power through tough sets. But when taken at the wrong time or in the wrong amount, it can interfere with your sleep, which is essential for muscle repair and growth. This presentation examines how to get the performance benefits of caffeine without sacrificing the gains that come from restful sleep. We will explore the science behind caffeine's effects on the nervous system, its half-life, the impact on sleep quality, and practical strategies to balance stimulation and recovery. A strong pre-workout boost can carry you through a grueling workout, but it might come at a cost if you load up on caffeine late in the day. This slide sets the stage by highlighting the tension between short-term performance and long-term progress. We will ask whether that extra jolt of energy is worth the potential disruption to your sleep later that night. Understanding this trade-off is key for lifters and endurance athletes who want to maximize strength, muscle growth, and overall recovery. Our goal is to find a middle ground where you get the benefits of caffeine without paying for it when your head hits the pillow. Caffeine improves focus, motivation, and endurance, making it a powerful ally for intense sessions. However, its lingering presence in the bloodstream can delay sleep onset and interfere with deep restorative cycles. For athletes chasing strength and muscle, sleep is where the real gains happen. Hormones are regulated, muscle fibers repair, and glycogen stores replenish. If caffeine keeps you wired long after your workout, it can undo much of the progress you made in the gym. This section introduces a concept of balancing the scales between performance and recovery, setting up the more detailed exploration of dosing, timing, and personal sensitivity that follows. Caffeine acts as a non-selective antagonist of adenosine receptors in the brain. Adenosine is a molecule that normally binds to A1 and A2A receptors, telling your nervous system to slow down and promoting feelings of drowsiness. By blocking these receptors, caffeine lifts this inhibitory brake, increasing neural firing and making you feel more alert and awake. This mechanism explains why a morning coffee or pre-workout supplement can quickly sharpen your focus and reduce perceived fatigue. However, because caffeine acts on central nervous pathways, it can remain active long after ingestion if your body clears it slowly. That continued activation can delay bedtime and reduce sleep quality if you are not careful with timing. The alertness boost from caffeine comes from more than just blocking adenosine. It also increases the release of dopamine and norepinephrine, neurotransmitters that sharpen concentration, enhance motivation, and elevate mood. As a result, athletes often perceive less effort during both steady-state endurance workouts and high-intensity interval sessions. This reduction in perceived exertion helps maintain pace and power throughout a workout, allowing you to push harder than you might without stimulation. These benefits are most pronounced when caffeine is used strategically and when the dose matches the individual's tolerance. Caffeine can enhance strength, endurance, power output, endurance performance, and focus when taken at appropriate doses. For most athletes, a sweet spot exists between 3 and 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Some people respond to as little as 2 milligrams per kilogram, while higher amounts add side effects without providing extra performance gains. Finding your own optimal dose involves starting at the lower end of the range and increasing only if you do not feel sufficient benefit. Too much caffeine can lead to jitters, gastrointestinal discomfort, and elevated heart rate, which may harm performance rather than help it. To visualize the recommended dose range, consider a few bodyweight examples. At 3 milligrams per kilogram, a 60 kilogram athlete might take around 180 milligrams of caffeine, while at 6 milligrams per kilogram, they might take 360 milligrams. A person weighing 80 kilograms would take between 240 and 480 milligrams, and someone weighing 100 kilograms would range from 300 to 600 milligrams. These examples demonstrate that adjusting your dose to your body weight helps ensure you are taking enough to see benefits without overshooting into the side effect zone. Always adjust for personal sensitivity and take into account any other sources of caffeine in your diet. The half-life of caffeine refers to the time it takes for half of the caffeine in your bloodstream to be metabolized and cleared. For most people, the half-life falls between 4 and 6 hours, though individual values can be as short as 2.5 hours or as long as 10 hours. This variation means that a 200 milligram dose consumed at 4 in the afternoon might leave around 50 milligrams, still circulating at midnight for someone with a 6-hour half-life. That residual caffeine can make it harder to fall asleep and may fragment your sleep cycles. Knowing your half-life helps you determine how early you need to cut off your caffeine to protect your sleep. Not everyone processes caffeine at the same rate. Genetics, age, use of oral contraceptives, and liver health all influence how quickly your body clears caffeine. People who metabolize caffeine quickly can enjoy an afternoon coffee with less risk of it keeping them up at night. Slow metabolizers, on the other hand, may feel wired into the evening from the same dose consumed hours earlier. Understanding whether you are a fast or slow metabolizer requires paying attention to how long caffeine affects your alertness and sleep. Those who are sensitive or have slower clearance may need longer cutoffs or smaller doses to avoid sleep disruption. Research shows that large evening doses of caffeine can meaningfully disrupt sleep. A 400 mg dose taken 6 hours before bedtime has been shown to significantly reduce total sleep time and alter the structure of sleep. Even moderate doses between 200 and 300 mg can delay the onset of sleep and reduce the amount of deep restorative stages in sensitive individuals. These effects underscore why late afternoon or evening caffeine consumption poses risks to your recovery. By interfering with both the quantity and quality of sleep, nighttime caffeine undermines the benefits you're seeking in the gym. Even if you do not feel overstimulated, caffeine later in the day can still affect your sleep. It tends to increase sleep latency, meaning it takes longer to fall asleep, and it can shorten total sleep duration. Caffeine also has the potential to reduce deep and rapid eye movement sleep, leaving you less refreshed the next day even if you don't recall waking up. These subtle disruptions accumulate over time, compromising recovery and performance. Because you might not always perceive the disturbance, it is important to be mindful of the timing and dosage of your late-day caffeine. Training stimulates muscles, but recovery is when those muscles adapt and grow. Sleep supports muscle repair, regulates hormones like growth hormone and testosterone, and replenishes glycogen stores. Poor sleep lowers the quality of subsequent training sessions, disrupts hormonal balance, and can blunt muscle protein synthesis. Without adequate rest, the benefits of even the hardest workout are diminished. Prioritizing sleep is therefore a non-negotiable part of a successful training plan. No amount of stimulants can replace the restorative power of quality sleep. A meta-analysis of sleep deprivation studies shows that losing sleep takes a heavy toll on athletic performance. Total or partial sleep restriction reduces endurance, explosive power, muscle force, speed, and skill control. It also increases perceived effort, meaning tasks feel harder than usual. Athletes who are sleep deprived often perform worse later in the day and report more fatigue and slower reaction times. This evidence makes it clear that sleep deprivation undermines the very qualities athletes are trying to enhance with caffeine. Research indicates that even a single night of total sleep deprivation can reduce muscle protein synthesis by nearly 18% in healthy adults. At the same time, cortisol levels rise and testosterone levels drop, creating a hormonal environment that favors muscle breakdown rather than growth. These changes hinder muscle repair and adaptation. Therefore, consistent sleep is critical for supporting the anabolic processes needed for strength and hypertrophy. Relying on caffeine to power through workouts while sacrificing sleep ultimately sets you back. Even the perfect caffeine dose cannot compensate for the harmful effects of inadequate sleep on recovery and gains. No matter how precisely you calibrate your stimulant intake, poor sleep will negate many of the benefits you would otherwise see from training. This slide emphasizes that caffeine is only one part of a broader strategy that must include sufficient sleep, proper nutrition, and effective recovery practices. Rather than leaning on caffeine to overcome fatigue from sleepless nights, prioritize developing habits that support both performance and restoration. A practical way to balance caffeine use with sleep protection is to set a personal cutoff time. For many people, stopping caffeine 6 to 8 hours before bedtime is enough to allow blood levels to decline to sleep-friendly levels. However, sensitive individuals or slow metabolizers may need longer. When training later in the day, lower doses of 3 mg per kilogram or less are preferable to high doses. And you might consider caffeine-free or lower stimulant alternatives for evening sessions. Establishing your own cutoff through experimentation will help you support both performance and recovery. To illustrate a cutoff, imagine you plan to be asleep by 10 at night. In that case, you would want to avoid large caffeine doses after 2 to 4 in the afternoon so that the stimulant has enough time to be metabolized. Morning or midday workouts pair well with caffeine because the stimulant clears before bedtime. For late evening workouts, consider stimulant-free pre-workouts or adjust your dose downward to minimize residual stimulation. This example highlights how aligning your supplement timing with your schedule can improve both performance and sleep quality. When deciding whether to use caffeine, consider the timing of your training session. Morning or early afternoon workouts are ideal for caffeinated pre-workouts because the stimulant will largely clear before bedtime. Late day training requires more caution. You may opt for lower stimulant formulas, smaller doses, or even caffeine-free products to protect your sleep. This decision should also account for your personal metabolism and sensitivity. The goal is to balance the immediate boost from caffeine against the need for restful sleep later. To use caffeine responsibly, track your intake and observe how it influences your alertness and sleep. Write down when you consume caffeine, how you feel during your workouts, and how well you sleep afterwards. Use caffeine strategically for key training sessions rather than as a daily habit. Combine it with good sleep hygiene practices, balanced nutrition, and adequate hydration for optimal gains. Avoiding habitual overuse helps prevent tolerance, ensuring that caffeine remains effective when you truly need it. Certain individuals should approach caffeine with extra caution. People with anxiety, hypertension, heart rhythm disorders, pregnancy, or a known sensitivity to stimulants should consult a healthcare professional before using caffeine. Teenagers and those experiencing insomnia or high stress may also benefit from minimizing stimulant use and focusing instead on healthy sleep habits. Listening to your body and speaking with a healthcare provider can help you determine whether caffeine is appropriate for you. Myths about caffeine abound. One common misconception is that more caffeine automatically leads to better gains. In reality, increasing your intake beyond about 6 milligrams per kilogram does not provide extra performance benefits and significantly raises the risk of side effects and sleep problems. Another myth is that you can train late and chug coffee without any consequence. In fact, caffeine consumed even 6 hours before bed can reduce total sleep time by up to 1 hour. Understanding these facts helps you make informed choices about dosing and timing. To maximize gains, integrate caffeine use with a commitment to sleep and recovery. Use caffeine to enhance training when it fits your schedule, but set a personal cutoff time and dose tailored to your metabolism and bedtime. Prioritize sleep as a pillar of your recovery plan. Without adequate rest, even the strongest pre-workout formula will have limited benefit. A balanced strategy ensures that you enjoy both powerful workouts and the restorative sleep needed for adaptation. Caffeine is undeniably a powerful tool for boosting training performance, but its effectiveness hinges on timing. Consuming large doses late in the day undermines sleep quality and thus your gains. The final takeaway is to find your lowest effective dose and establish a cutoff time that allows you to reap the performance benefits while still sleeping well. A smart caffeine strategy acknowledges that today's workout should not come at the expense of tomorrow's recovery. Use caffeine thoughtfully to elevate your training without sacrificing rest. In summary, think of caffeine as a tool rather than a magic bullet. Use it early enough in the day to maximize its benefits while giving your body ample time to clear it before bedtime. Your progress depends on both intense effort and adequate recovery. By treating caffeine as part of a larger performance strategy that includes restful sleep, nutrition, and hydration, you can make sustainable gains and avoid the trap of trading short-term excitement for long-term progress.